So, hello, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Sherry J Yoon, Artistic Director of Boca del Lupo, the curator of Live Performance 360 series, alongside with Joe Mangan from the Performance Corporation. I'm coming to you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. Our offices are located in an area known as Snock, a place that has traditionally been a gathering place, and we're so grateful to be able to be chatting with you here today. We are here to talk to Silvia Mercuriali, the artist that we are presenting her work Swimming Home, the first show as part of Boca de Lupo's Live Performance 360 series. Also joining us is Eliza Calmat, actress, co-producer, director, who also worked on the French version of the piece. Thank you both so much for joining us today on Zoom.
It's lovely to be here. Hello.
Thank you for welcoming us. Bonjour.
Let's start by just talking about Swimming Home. Silvia, how did you come upon this idea for an audio piece for the bathtub? Like, what was the inspiration of this piece?
I've been working with this idea of autoteatro and therefore to give instructions to audience members so that they can become the actors in their own sort of fictional story for quite a while. And so I was just March 2020, I was just about to start a new show that I wanted to set in the viewing gallery of a swimming pool during opening hours. And the idea was that of a big audience actually sitting in the viewing gallery, looking down, and sort of slowly the world becoming part of a kind of fictional story that only existed in the headphones for the audience. But then, of course, as we know, access to pools was not really possible. So I decided to I looked around and I thought, what do we all have? Because the kind of theater I have can really be done anywhere. I'm interested in any space, whether it's public or private, and wherever you set yourself, the show happens and transforms your surroundings so that you see it through new eyes. So I just thought, okay, well, we're all here in our homes, a little bit stuck, and certainly we all do have a bathroom. And because I was already kind of working on this idea of water, and swimming and pools. And then I decided to transform our little bathroom into that big municipal pool that I had imagined originally. So it was like really trying to create something that, that could be done at home, anywhere in the world, very easily, any age, any language, ideally. So really a sort of theatrical experience for the audience, but set in their own kind of private space.
Okay, so so originally people would have been listening on headphones at the poolside.
Yes.
And then the show would be happening all around them, very public, very private.
See, actually, so that's it. We're going to go in a little bit deeper. So what happens in my shows, and that's the reason why it's called autoteatro, the sort of strategy that I use, is that there are no performers. The audience does everything. They just follow a set of pre-recorded instructions. And by doing that, the story starts to unravel. They start to realize who they are within the fictional narrative and how to read the environment around them. So my idea was that it was going to be during really like an opening hour of a municipal pool. So with people swimming up and down, like regular kind of people going to train. But the audience would have had this sort of like hidden point of view into the pool where kind of slowly stories started to appear, even though they only appear because you're wearing the headphones. Although I did have a little trick up my sleeve, and I wanted to have one audience member doing a separate track in the pool while swimming. And that track would have been completely synchronized with the track of the people in the viewing gallery. And by doing that, suddenly, like something really magical would happen, because the person, as we hear about this possible person with maybe a red hat, let's choose the one with a red hat. And imagine that they sit on the side of the pool, they turn around and wave. And as you hear that, that happens. So
Right.
as that happens, you start to imagine that everybody else
Right.
in the pool is in fact part of the show. And you will never know how many people are in fact part of the show, just the one, which also isn't a performer. But everybody becomes a sort of an extra in your own film, in your own kind of imagined world in which you are present and interacting somewhat.
Right.
So Swimming Home just decided to bring all of that and shrank it down to a bath size, and try to transform that and make, you know, exciting your sort of domestic space, your bathroom, not exactly the most interesting room of a house, although there's some good ones.
There are lots of
So
good ones. Yeah.
there are a lot of good ones, in fact, but then transforming them, not just a place where you wash, but a place where imagination can really happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think that adapting is remarkable because it is really about, it's not even from a theater to your home. It's like expansive, like some of these community pools are just are massive and unruly. And so, and to be able to go so individual and intimate and still have the same world of the show. I know it's both water, but it's pretty wild. Um, what I love about the piece is there really is something in there for everyone. If they are willing to put on the headset, that's this show, they have access to it. And so you have this ability to create narrative that anchors any human being who has any relationship to water or swimming, but at the same time, really pull away from what we expect a narrative should be, but not so far out that people don't feel like that they don't get it. Can you talk a little bit? This is a big question, but but in what I'm asking about is, can you just give us some insight on how you approach that narrative? Did it change much from the pool? I imagine it must have, but maybe not. Like, can
No,
you
I
tell me a
mean,
little bit about this?
yeah, no, of course, it some. Well, I mean, I don't know if it has changed very much from the pool or not, because the pool never happened. But the thoughts that I had for the pool were still there. So the idea that you're sitting by the side of a pool and suddenly it's not a municipal pool, but you're, you know, in Hollywood at a pool party, and Burt Lancaster is kind of diving in the pool with you. That still was in my head. But what I really wanted was to really create something that spoke to everyone. As you say, I'm glad that that comes across, because I interviewed a lot of swimmers, all kinds of level of swimming, and even people that don't like swimming at all. And I've interviewed them all. We had a very long chat, like more than an hour for each person that I've interviewed, and we really talked about their relationship with water, their feeling, like really a bodily feeling of yourself immersed in water. How do you float? How do you but also memories, and you know, memories of the first pool you've ever been to. We all have a memory of a pool. So all of this kind of the fears and the excitement of water, it's all very personal to all of those people. But then I cut them all together and made a huge collage of voices to create not a personal story, but in fact a collective story. A story where everyone could find something that speaks to them, whether it's you know, the image of the tiny little kind of shallow pool that you have to go through before you enter the swimming pool, or you know, just a certain sound or a certain feeling of the body. There's always something for somebody. And so it was really like the interviews were really this idea of creating a collective swimmer, so that it would really echo in everyone's ears somehow, and therefore feelings as well, and so that they could find themselves in there. So there isn't really a narrative as such, or you are, it's really happening to you right now in your
Right.
bathroom. You're wearing your costumes for the show, your swimming costume. You've got props over your head with your goggles. You got your towel. So the scene is set. Everything is just like in the theater. There's a little preparation, But then once the show starts, you're taken through a journey that starts right there, and then sometimes take you straight into the water, and then sometimes you're out, like looking from really far away. So it keeps shifting. So it's not a narrative that has a beginning and an end of a story. It's your journey. It starts with you in the bathroom. It takes you back to the prehistory and our ancestors and what it was to swim, and kind of imagining that maybe we could have had a sort of watery phase in our evolvement. And then you find yourself back into the bathroom, but having gone to loads of different places, accompanied by all of these voices that kind of somewhat keep crowding a little bit your head, and sometimes they give you space to reflect, and sometimes they throw you back into the water.
Well, you do make it seem quite effortless how you've collaged it together, but clearly there's a long-standing practice that you have that makes it feel, I mean, it's so constructed, it's very technical, but it does feel quite organic. And I think that that's how it subverts our expectations in a very gentle way. I think that's quite interesting, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about your attraction to this work. But Eliza, I'd like to chat with you a bit about how you found yourself part of this project, and what was your experience in the adaptation into a different language? What was that like? And I know you're a director, producer, and actor, and I'm wondering if this is all components of what made you attracted to this piece and how you ended up becoming a part of the project.
Yeah, thank you for this question. We were really lucky to be approached by Silvia and Judy on Swimming Home with Tristan Brumeur, who is bilingual, and he translated the text. But we were super excited since the beginning, because at this special time we were thinking about creating some audio experience in situ. It's really important to me to connect audience members to what exists around them, and discovering the work of Silvia was so inspiring. It was really what I took in it. What touched me was the thing of about giving keys of art to audience members, and just to take them by the hand, giving tools to them and saying, yeah, you can have access. You don't need to be from a special family or background or culture to have access. And I'm really, really touched by this. And also going through a story in a sensorial way, not just intellectual. I sorry, it's a bit go further from your question, but it's like healing stories, how you can live a moment and not just receive something in a passive way. Tristan Brumeur translated the text. It was really something, because the music is really not the same in English and in French, the music from the language, and how it impacts you diving into your shower or your bath. And it was something, but lots of exchanges with Silvia about this, who translated also in Italian. So we were not the first to say, I love it, because we lived the experience before we translated. We are lucky to try it and being audience members, and it was amazing. It was really an amazing way to live a play. So from there, we could begin this work, this creative work, being part here and there from the sea, between UK, in Italy and France. This first work together with Silvia.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was quite a mission, I have to say, because it seems all, like you say, it seems all so simple, so easy, just it flows. But there was a lot of work, because of course there is a combination of binaural recording, which is recorded inside a bathroom, so that you really do get the perception of the sound of a bathroom and how it changes as you move around, as you open the taps, you know, where you are, where you're positioned, so that you can really, in your own bathroom, feel that those sounds are real. So they've had to, you know, have, they got their binaural head to record all of the sounds. And this was one thing. And then they also did some other recordings in studio, because the main voice that takes you through the whole show, I do the English and Italian. Eliza is me in French. So very, very nice, actually. So there was a lot of combination of like in studio, in situ binaural recording. Then I already had some underwater recording that also go into the mix of all of this to create really the atmosphere, a soundtrack, a sound that can really kind of feel quite present and really transport you. And then there were all of the interviews to the French swimmers, because of course every language has got the swimmers in the original in the language we're doing. So it's doing the whole show really. So Tristan went out and he interviewed loads of people, and then a little bit following some of my directions, saying, I'm looking for something around this idea and something around this idea. He then listened back to all of the recordings and came back with a new edit in French with all of the interviewed swimmers. So it's quite
I didn't understand that undertaking. So that was the same for Italian as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I just assumed it was just translated. But
No,
no, of course
no.
not.
It's really, there is one voice. Well, there's actually three voices. There's two male voices as well as the main female voice. And they're more like narrators, and they are actors, and they're really kind of like just recording the text as it was, as I wrote it. But all of the interviews, all of that kind of background of the collective sort of swimmers is completely redone for every language. So it was amazing and brilliant, and wow, it was huge. So thank you, Eliza and Tristan, because they were amazing.
Oh, that is
Merci. Yeah. So it was really moving to drive these interviews, because they are real people and not actors. And yeah, it brings so many memories for the person we are lucky to interview. So merci aussi pour cette expérience, Silvia.
Okay, that's great to know just what's hinging and anchoring the show in translation really is the ideas and the feelings and the mood and the concept, but that it really is a whole new show. That's quite remarkable. It's something I don't think I would have understood without hearing it quite like this.
Yeah, no, it's been a really amazing process actually to get to Swimming Home, the finished piece. And you know, like you say, like you know, like for every project, you have a little idea, you have something that you know is buzzing in your head. And for me, it was this idea of pools. I love pools. I love any kind of big stadiums or like sports, things like that. Like those places where you really kind of, you know, just kind of focus. That focus of a particular activity I love. And so I had that in the head, and a little bit The Swimmer, the film with Burt Lancaster, and now I'm terrible because I can't even remember the year, but it's a very old film and a beautiful, beautiful film, and it's the story of a midlife crisis and somebody who's completely lost it, and but that decides to swim his way back home, pool by pool. So in fact, in the audios, and see the audio is everything for me. The sound is everything, and when you add that to the real person who is really, really experiencing the thing, for me, that's for me when I get very, very excited. But there's little bits of the sounds from the film. In fact, there's a couple of little hints, quotes. from the film. I like to collages are my favorite thing to do, whether it's with pictures, with interviews, with sounds. I like to take things and put them together and kind of see how they might change everything. So it was quite an interesting journey for me to write Swimming Home. Also because, you know, of course, this kind of work needs very precise instructions. And to have really precise instruction, you need somebody who does it without knowing what the instruction is. So my rehearsals were, they were hilarious because I was on Skype mostly with somebody, a friend in the bath. So I would say, do you mind taking a bath? And as they're taking the bath, I'm asking them to do certain things. And then we would decide, you know, if I put my hand flat like this, is it better, or should I just plunge it vertically? You know, just to find exactly the right way to really feel physically the bathroom, the water. So Gemma Brockis was my main, you know, muse. So it was really good.
And why, I think, I mean, this is, I'm going to guess, why working with someone else so you can collaborate, because then you can still be an outside person dictating, like not dictating, but guiding us versus you in the bath doing it. It is different how you kind of delineate the durational moments, isn't it?
Yeah, totally different. Also, I have to say, I also don't have a bath because I live on a boat. So I actually did not. Yeah. So I did not have access to a bath. I'm on a narrow boat. So I'm on the canal in London.
Oh, I know. I've walked by those canals and those boats.
Oh, you probably saw my house. So I really needed a bath and I needed somebody to be in the bath for me. But as we were all locked in, I couldn't go anywhere.
No.
So it was, you know, of course, horrid and horrific, but incredibly challenging in a very positive, creative way as well for me. Because somewhat I had to overcome certain obstacles that I don't normally have to think about. And by doing that, I had to rethink a lot of things about how it is to write something for an audience member, which is really far away from you. You have no control. You don't know what their bathroom looks like. You don't know what they've got at their disposal. But it was really nice, and also finding new ways to reach them. So that was for me, like we had this idea then of creating this app, this Mercurius.net app, the National Ear Theatre. And so we had this app designed and programmed ad hoc for my shows, for Swimming Home. And that allowed us, in a moment where we were all completely stuck, to actually throw the show out and be in touch, because then people also get back to me. There's a little feedback thing. At the end of the show, they can take a picture of themselves as municipal water swimmers. And that is part of a big kind of side project that is called DIY Swimming. And it's a gallery of pictures of some of the people that have experienced that show and have decided to share their picture. If you now go on my website, you have this beautiful gallery of this amazing people that just decided to swim in their baths or showers, because the show works for a shower too. And I've lost what I wanted to say, but yes, it was amazing to be able to throw the show out into the world, reaching people in New Mexico and in Brazil, in South Africa, everywhere really. It's been amazing. In a moment where nobody could leave the house, this app allowed me to still offer an experience that is completely theatrical and fantastical, but without having to move from where you are.
And to be safe. And I think I mean, you've already described it as to why doing this show during pandemic, but you're attracted to and immersed in auto teatro. And I'm just wondering, you know, why are you drawn to this kind of work? Most people who are in theater go for the liveness, right? If you're an actor, you do. I'm generalizing, but you know, they want the feedback. They want to know that they've had an exchange and have the clapping at the end. They want to hear the laughter. They want to hear the gasps. to kind of understand and let a piece grow and experience. And so taking this avenue is I'm very thankful you are. I think there's a tremendous amount of dedication that people have to do. There's so much work involved that has to be about controlling everything to give everything away. I kind of describe it as making this kind of perfectly constructed present, and then you never get to see how the people receive it or open it, right? It's a certain kind of individual who wants to do that and understand the value of that exchange, like the live performance 360. And my approach with technology is immersive technologies, new and familiar to us. It really is around how we can use the technology to connect us with what makes us human.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the through line for me about why to be presenting artists like yourself, the work that I want to be doing and continue to do in the past and in the future, and whatever kind of ripple effect, like a pebble in the water, the ripple effect of what these micro individual personal connected works can do for our performance world, right? And so why are you attracted to this particular kind of work?
So, well, I love looking at people who are real people without masks, without knowing, without a plan. People without a plan. I love people without a plan. I'm really interested in real people and real experiences. So in a way, even though this, of course, right now, especially for me, is really remote, the experience for the audience member is 100% live. There is no part of it that they are not experiencing live, because it's about them within a certain environment and how they look at it. Whether it is like really focused and maybe you're just looking at the droplets of water, or it's a bit more of a panoramic view, still is completely live. So for me, technology, I completely agree with you, is how do we reconnect with ourselves? How do we reconnect with the liveness as well? And technology can completely do that if, for me, the focus is, though, the live experience for the audience member. I can't lie, I do miss having the encounters. We are all missing it. But at the same time, there's always a way for the audience to get in touch with me. And I am seeing them because they are sending me something. So I actually feel like I can really feel it. I don't see it. And as long as people are happy and are having this experience, which is really live and unique, completely personal, and intimate to each person that does it, yet they're all connected through the pipes, through the water running under our floorboards. And so they're all part of the same thing, no matter where they are. So for me, that's, I know it seems hard not to be present with your audience, but I can feel them. And it's just really lovely. Yeah.
That's lovely. Lovely answer. So I'm going to take some questions from the group here. And I think one of them is, and this could be for you and Eliza, which is, what is the funniest discovery you made making the piece?
Ah. Ooh, there is so much that took me by surprise, from realizing that there is no way that you can hold your breath going underwater in your bath without actually closing your nostrils, which seems stupid. Obviously, it's like that, but I didn't at all consider it. And then I found myself always drowning one day when I was trying my show. Then I was like, oh, okay, no, I can't do this. But I'm always, and this is, I guess I'm always surprised when I hear people disliking water. I think for me, that's the most surprising thing. I cannot imagine anyone not loving water, yet there are plenty of people who really do not enjoy it.
Yeah, and some of it's cultural, like depending on where you've raised and also what to fear the ocean, or it's interesting, right? Oh, it's so interesting. How about you, Eliza? Was there something funny or really memorable or striking in creating the work?
Um, no, it the same for me, and it's really French as well. Like water is really comforting. It's a safe space. But what I really enjoyed was discovering the binaural work and
Ah,
being into a bath with this binaural head and speaking and whispering, like playing, like I was playing with the audience members. I was whispering for them. So really being into it was an amazing discovery for me.
It is quite intimate. You are standing really close to your audience member. I know it's only in voice, but you are so present because of the binaural recording that it does feel like you do in fact have a huge responsibility as the voice, because you are leading them. It's through your voice that they will be able to do certain action and therefore feel certain things and rediscover the world. So
mm-hmm.
it's quite a responsibility.
Yes,
And
oh, it is, and there's so much care and gentleness, and again, it's just really thoughtful and mindful, but also in a way that feels um, impulsive and organic, which it can only be so much, right? That's an interesting thing because it is all worked and there's got to be a consistency to it, and so I really do appreciate that level of care and focus and rigor, but also the whimsy. Like it is an interesting balance, and it is, I think, probably this kind of delicate balance of both things.
and not that easy because yeah, after the first recorded in French, we discovered, thanks to Sylvia, that I spoke a bit fast in French, and it
Ah,
was not easy for audience members to do the thing we lead them to do. Like you need to stand up in front of your mirror and yeah, dive in, and it was like really Parisian French, quick,
Ah,
fast,
right.
and not enough time to follow the steps. So yeah, you have to be really cautious on it.
Um, There's, oh, here we go. This is a good question. What would be your advice to young emerging creators and how to spark a small idea and make it happen? Do you have any like tidbits? You don't have to give the whole workshop lesson, which I think would be interesting to have, but is there kind of tidbits or something that you can leave us with when it comes to this work that you do and have dedicated your
I
time
think
to?
anything can be a show, whether it's a piece of paper and suddenly you're kind of, as you doodle, you find yourself drawing something specific. Um, I don't know. I think just try a lot of things. Imagine that if you sit in a corner of your room and look out, imagining that that was a stage, what would you want to see? I think that's, for me, is the most important. Just sit somewhere, look, what is there already and what would you like to see? Because the sound, it's amazing. Our brain is incredible because, of course, it always wants to make sense of things. So through sound, you can really trick us. It's through, especially this binaural kind of sound recording techniques, you can really trick us into believing that something is present. So in fact, if you are sitting on a bench in the middle of a square and you have like the sound of traffic, but it is a bit binaural recorded traffic, maybe in exactly the same place, but it's not the traffic that is going on outside. It's a new traffic. It's a fictional one. And then from that, you can cut it off. And suddenly you can really believe that the whole world is suddenly underwater because you're putting sound of underwater. I'm saying like silly things, but just to say that if you sit down and think and imagine, if this is my stage, if this is the space I have to work with, and every person, including the cats and the dogs and the birds, are part of the film I want to see. Okay, what else do I want to see? Just sit and observe, I would say, and try a lot of things out. Try them out,
Right.
throw them away. Don't ever, ever, ever be precious about your stuff. throw it away if it doesn't work. It's so beautiful to just throw away, because it means you keep looking, you keep questioning. So I guess that's the most important, look
Right.
and question.
So basically, like, stay curious, trust trial and error, and then start cultivating that vision and trust by your own
Absolutely.
curiosity. I think these are great advice. I think there's a last question here, which is around creating a piece without the live audience feedback. So you've, again, been very committed to this kind of work. What is the main or the key challenge, or do you even see them as challenges at all, as to creating work without that kind of feedback? Like, much like even a stand-up comedian, like they're just constantly getting feedback every other punchline. Yours is definitely the antithesis
Mm.
of that. And what is your key challenge, or something you've noted?
I mean, really, I really don't miss the big audience or watching at the same time. Not that I don't like it. I like it. In fact,
Mhm.
the original idea was for that. But I'm really much more interested in creating an experience that is so carefully crafted and timed, so that the person who is doing it can actually really feel it happening to them. I'm
Mhm.
interested, like I said, in real people, real places, and then adding a sort of fictional narrative on top, which though you discover because you're acting the actions, not because you are pretending to be another character. You find yourself like um, behind the trolley, imagining to steal something in a supermarket, but you're not pretending to be a thief. You're just questioning. You're
Ah,
finding yourself with something in your hands, and you're being asked to think about where to hide it. You're not asked to hide it, but you're asked to think about it. And then, of course, sure enough, at the moment that you're supposed to hide it, you're told to then put it back. But that's the thing, I'm not interested in people pretending to be other things. I'm
right.
interested in them becoming part of a world which is fantastical, poetic, and fictional
Mhm.
because of the sound, but because also through the instruction, the audience members, the participants, in fact, I call them, really do become part, completely part of the situation,
Mhm.
because everything is referring to the real world around them and
Right.
really them interacting with it.
Right.
I know it's, but
No.
I don't miss it. I just enjoy having the conversations when I have them with people. And as I said, I always make sure that people can get in touch with me if they want to give me a feedback, if they found something tricky as well,
Ah, okay.
because that
That's
can
great.
happen.
That's great.
So yeah, I mean, of course, it's brilliant also to have an audience, and sometimes I do shows with an audience.
Yeah.
Although most of the time, again, this is Macondo, for example. It's another auto theater piece. This time takes place in a theater for 100 audience members, but there are
Okay.
no actors. They don't know it. They'll find out throughout the show that the actors have not turned up, and they end up all doing the show themselves, from lights to the costumes, to giving directions, all through like 12 different synchronized tracks that allow different groups to
Right.
do specific actions and create interaction. So there is an audience. I watch them all the time, of course, like biting my nails at the back of the
Yeah.
theater, because I know that I can't intervene because it's auto theater. Once it started, there's no intervention. So sometimes I do have shows with audiences, but I also really love the possibility of creating theater in such a small place that sometimes is just the palm of your hand.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
real. Like, it's real actions, not a fabricated fictional character that would steal. It's about us and of who we are. And I like that description. Clearly you do drafts though. Sometimes you alter the audio once it's
Oh
running,
yeah.
and you get feedback.
Once, whilst I'm writing, I am recording and re-recording, throwing away a lot, and I have
Right.
loads of people that don't know what they're going to be instructed to do doing the thing, because I already know, so I don't count, especially
Right.
when it comes to timing.
Right.
Uh, a new participant will know uh, to say, oh no, that was too fast, or I didn't understand that instruction. So I strip them down until everything more or less results into what I wanted. I mean, for me, and I promise I stopped talking because I'm terrible, but I thought about it earlier. The voice in your ears, me most of the time, is for me like the voice in your head, which we all have. We all have a voice in our head telling us what to do. We all imagine ourselves doing this or that, but then how we do it always differs slightly. There's always a tiny failure in delivering the things we've imagined, but that failure for me is beautiful. So that's that the voice in your head is the instruction, and I will make sure you understand it. But even when you don't fully, it will still be okay because it's your specific experience.
Right. Well, that's beautifully said. Any last thoughts, Silvia or Eliza, around your work, around what we're talking about?
I don't know, Anne. I am looking forward to receiving the Vancouver swimmers pictures. I'm, I've got a couple already that came through this afternoon, and it's just really good. It's amazing. So I'm really excited, and I can't wait to hear and see what everybody has done.
We've had great feedback all the way across the country, all the way to Nova Scotia. So people are having a good time. Eliza, you're saying something?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add the work of Silvia on Swimming Home is amazing because the main preoccupation for me as a creator is what is left after the show or live performance for the participant, and because we open so many emotions with this kind of way of telling stories, and I think Swimming Home leaves good vibes, emotions, but also closure. And I'm really, it's important for me as a creator and a participant. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward launching Swimming Home here in France. It will be really soon. And as we said, the little boxes are important for French audience members. They need to touch stuff.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time and for being involved in creating such a beautiful, intimate, and thoughtful, gentle, and transformative piece. Thanks so much to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you to Boca de Lupo for bringing us to Canada. Very exciting. It's a pity I can't be there, but
next time, when the times change, right? When something changes. All right. Thank you so much.
I hope you have a great run, and thank you so much for inviting us tonight.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.